obviously, we've got the professional development schools, and their wonderful theme is implementation, innovation, and impact. So what I'm going to do is take those ideas and relate them to inclusive education. First of all, Michael already told you who I am and all kinds of lovely, wonderful stuff, but I want to tell you something that you can use at your own sites, whether you're a K-12 school, whether you're a university, your affiliate, a community member, whatever. At the Center for Teaching and Learning at California State University, Northridge, we work on professional development. That's what we do. And so one of the things that we have is we have publications that would be very appropriate for all of you. Not the books, that's just a shameless plug. If you email us, and the email's right there, and I'm okay if you take out your phone right now and do it, because educators have a tendency to take notes, and then we never have enough time to go back to those notes. So if you want to do it right now, it's fine. You can email us at CTL, which stands for Center for Teaching and Learning, at csun.edu, and say, put me on the mailing list. And I know normally we don't want to be on mailing lists, but I promise you we don't spam, we don't sell email lists, we don't have a whole lot of things we email about. But what we do email about, we have a T-Care newsletter, which is for teachers connecting to advance retention and empowerment. And it's one-page practical strategies for all kinds of things. It might be STEM, it might be differentiation, it might be early childhood, it might be literacy, it might be co-teaching, universal design for learning. But you would get that about 3 times a year, and then we also have CTL on the cutting edge, and that's where we look at cutting edge research, and it's one-page research briefs, because again, teachers, educators, we don't have time for a lot of that, but it gives you lots of resources. So if you email us, you'll find out about some of the stuff we do, and I hope you will join us. So let's move on. Here's our essential question for today. How is what schools are doing, what's the current educational research, what are we supposed to be doing to help all of our learners? All of them, right? Not just the students who do well on their standardized tests, but our students who are English language learners, our students who have disabilities, our students who are gifted, our students who are homeless, our students who are on 504 plans, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. How do we help them be successful? And what do we mean by success? Could be behavioral, could be academic, could be social. And then we add a little bonus on this for this group. How are we going to look at the professional development school's relationship, and how do we use these relationships to help us with that implementation, innovation, and ultimately impact? Pretty sure it's not this. Right? We don't want to bore them to tears. I'm also pretty sure it's not segregation and saying, well, we can't work with those groups. So here's what we want. These are our 21st century skills. These look familiar? Thumbs up? Is there anybody who's never heard of 21st century skills? You're not willing to admit it. That's good. Keep it to yourself. All right. Are there any students you work with who you think could not be successful in these areas? Maybe you want to qualify it. They could, given time. They could, given support. They could, given peer interactions, adult interactions, whatever. We have all kids with all kinds of needs who can be successful in those particular areas. And we've even moved away from, no, that's all right, and I'm not sure what's happening with my little clicker here, but we've moved away from just looking at those things to what are the skills they need. And these are not just 21st century skills, these are needed in anything, right? Collaboration, communication, critical thinking, creativity. Our students can be successful with all of these particular things. Some of our schools are starting to be what they call future ready. So what does future ready mean? Future ready means we're going to be starting to look at things beyond just the traditional reading, writing, math, science, social studies, etc. I love this. I love the idea that we're looking at literacies across a whole bunch of things. I love that we're thinking about different competencies, different skills. One of my colleagues at Metropolitan State University in Denver, his name is Philip Bernhardt, and Philip just published a book on digital citizenship, which, if you think about it, combines in 3 areas. So we've got digital literacy, cool, But then we also have to teach students what they're supposed to do when they're on the internet. How do you be a good citizen? How do you be a leader? How do you think about your use of social media? Raise your hand if you have a child, yourself, not who you work with, but your own kid who's in middle school to high school. Okay, I have a 14-year-old son. I used to be a high school teacher. My kid just started high school. That's petrifying, because I know what they're like. Right now I know, now I'm thinking, oh my gosh, and he's at a huge high school. So I'm thinking, my poor little sweet, innocent child, because he is. There are 4,000 potentially bad influences on him every day. He's not the bad influencer. And I'm going to keep with that. Okay. But, he's the one, he wanted to have Instagram. He wanted to have Snapchat. We had to have a whole conversation. And, of course, there's mom who goes out and talks about the importance of technology. And then at home, I'm like, oh, no, I don't think so. Right? But I know that that's the reality. So I'm having to find out what's appropriate, what's not appropriate. How do you be a good digital citizen? How do you teach your student, your child, to do that? And what if you're the parent of a child who's not successful academically? It can be great if you can look at these other things and say, you know what, my kid's curious. And that's awesome. My kid's a leader. Maybe not in the classroom, but at Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, right? Maybe in something else. So we need to look at these as all important, not just how are they doing academically. All right, so that's looking at the future ready skills. So let's just kind of take a think about the Fortune 500 companies. When we think about what Fortune 500 companies are looking for in the students that we're putting out, and keep in mind, if you're at the university level, you're preparing the teachers who are going to prepare these children who are then going to go into Fortune 500 and make tons more than any of us do. Right? Okay, so what are Fortune 500 companies looking for? You guys, it's easy. We have schools who clearly know exactly what Fortune 500 companies are looking for. We have them across the nation, and we've been doing this for years. Fortune 500 companies want 4 years of English, 4 years of math, 2 years of social studies, 2 years of science, at least a year to 2 years of a foreign language, and they are really looking for PE and elective and a couple clubs. Because again, I have a high schooler, and I'm telling him, you need to get in a couple clubs. Mom, I don't want any of those clubs. You're getting in clubs, kid. And then I'm the very awesome mom who says, but you can pick the club. As long as you're in one, or maybe two, starting from 9th grade, because it matters. Okay, so are those the things Fortune 500 companies are looking for? But that's what we're emphasizing. So let's look at the research. Let's see what Fortune 500 companies are looking for. I'm pretty sure it's going to be reading, writing, and math. Huh. Okay, so the first 5, do they surprise you? Are we preparing kids for these things? We're getting better at it. We're getting better at it. That's true. But I know a lot of teachers who, when I say we should be doing collaboration, we should have collaborative groups, they're like, well, then the kids are cheating. Or they're learning to work together. But clearly, reading, writing, and math will be in the next 5. Personal career development, creative thinking, leadership, goal setting, and motivation. So when we take time in our schools to really think about that, to prepare everybody for goal setting and motivation, it's not a fluffy thing. It's critical. It's what our kids need. So, oh, there you go, writing. Number 10. And every Fortune 500 company I have ever researched has wanted the writing skills to involve a 5-paragraph essay. And please make every paragraph have a topic sentence, and then 3 sentences in the middle, and then a concluding sentence that wraps up all 3. No? All right, what writing do you think a Fortune 500 company, or any company, it doesn't have to be Fortune 500, but what writing do our kids need to have these days? Yell it out. Yell it out so I can hear you. Email. How about a really nice, succinct email? Good, what else? Technical writing, absolutely, which probably doesn't have a whole lot of persuasive writing in it necessarily. If we do persuasive writing, we're probably talking about ad writing, right? Or finding a way to, what? Get the business going farther or get money back from somebody. Technical writing, what other kinds of writing? Creative writing. Presentations. Proposals. Social media. Grants, tweets. So when we think we're being clever and funny, oh, look at me, I'm so nice, I'm letting my kids do a tweet. And you think it's just because it's a fun activity. It's not a fun activity. They need to learn how to use that for social media so that they can help a company and understand what that's for. So these are important things. So writing's good, but we have to really think about what it is that we're trying to accomplish. All right, let's keep going. Up, organizational effectiveness. How many special educators are in the room? Or people in the area of special education? Okay, we always will have job security, right? Lots of our kids need help with organizational effectiveness. Finally, we get math, computation. I'm not saying these things aren't important, all of our stuff that we do in schools. I'm just saying we have to really think about where we're trying to prepare our students. And then we get reading in number 13. And I don't think there's a lot of round-robin reading happening in most of these companies. Maybe Google, I'm not sure. All right, so if you then look at the 5 big ones for Fortune 500, then let's put together the 21st century skills. You seeing some overlap? Yeah, let's add those 4 C's. And are these things happening in that classroom? I would say one is. Which one? Which of those things do you think that teacher is helping them with? Listening. So is this our goal? Obviously, that's not our goal, because ultimately, this is what we're going to end up getting from that. And that's for our typical learners. We're not even talking about the kids who learn differently. That's just for everybody. So we want to mix that up a little bit. We want to avoid having the teacher who says, I'm working with the large group. Like, this is my kids. And then if you don't fit with what everybody else is doing, you have a disability, I'm going to segregate you. But I'm fair about it, because if I have kids who are gifted, I segregate them too. If you don't fit in what I want to do in my little typical class where everybody's learning the same thing, I don't know what to do. And obviously, we're nowhere close to that these days. In fact, I find that frequently, I'll say something like, hey, you're going to have a diverse class. And most of the teachers I talk to will say, well, don't I already? To which I respond, yes, but you're not going to be allowed to lecture anymore. So lecture out. To which most of them have different reactions. And some of them just freak out. So we need to mix it up a little bit. What's the answer? Inclusive practices. And what does that entail? Well, obviously, you could read what really works with exceptional learners. You could read what really works with Universal Design for Learning, as Dr. Cosenza said, coming out in March. And yes, those are shameless plugs. There's going to be a lot of this. But I think that you guys coming here today, you spending today thinking about the collaboration between all of your different entities is exactly what you need to do. You need to be thinking about what you're going to implement, what you're going to be able to do that's innovative. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. I mean, obviously, there's some things that are already working. You don't have to just shake it up to shake it up. But the goal is to make an impact, and that's what we're trying to do. So let's keep going with this. This is what I want you all to do. Please think of one word. You can do a short phrase if you have to. But one word where you think about what is it when you think of inclusive education? How many of you are in the area of English, language arts, something like that? Raise your hand if that's your field. Okay, so English teachers have taught me you are never allowed to define the word with the word. Is that right? Okay, so you're not allowed to say inclusive practices, inclusion. So what is one word that you would think of for inclusive practices? Okay, inclusive education, what do you think of? Everybody ready? Now, I've just told you I'm not allowed to just lecture, so you have to be engaged here too. Get out your smartphone, or your tablet, or your computer, or if you have none of those, work with a smart friend. You can collaborate, it's okay. Here's what I would like you to do. I would like you to go on, and again, we have the bottom that's kind of screwing us up, and I apologize for that. But go to the website, www.mentee.com. If you look at the screen up here, and the code is still at the top, these are your results. These are what you guys are saying. So let's see, I'm seeing the words all, collaboration, differentiation, everyone, accommodating, all means all, meeting needs, all in, innovation, non-exclusive. Oh, that was very creative of somebody who didn't want to put inclusive, non-exclusive, very nice. Accessibility, equitable, creativity, empathy, global, accommodating, awesome, teaching for all, art integration, empowering, relationships, special education, co-teaching, diversity, equality, that's something, pilot seat, involvement, diversified, engagement, everyone, differentiation, equity, learning styles, let's gather, multidimensional. Okay, so I'm seeing, yeah, those of you who want to sit. I'm seeing that all is the biggest word. What does that mean? Not what does the word all mean. What does it mean that that's the biggest word up here? It means the most amount of people put the word all. So the rest of you are wrong. I'm sorry. Yeah, next time you'll get it right. We have other words that are really showing up are differentiation, everyone, together, collaboration, equity. Those are the biggest words. Now, in this activity, you could put in whatever it meant to you. Okay? How does it make you feel to see your words up there? Included, thank you. And we didn't even practice that. I can't even see who it was. Yeah, thank you. You get credit. Well done. All right. This activity is an inclusive one. I didn't tell you had to do it one way. You could do it in a variety of ways. I told you you could work with a friend if you needed to, so some of you who are like, what's the internet? That's okay. You had somebody there to help you out. I'm not telling you if these words are right or wrong. One time I was doing this activity with a really large group, and one of the words that came up was Bob. What did that mean? I don't know. Maybe Bob was a child who had been included. Maybe the person really didn't understand the directions and was putting in his name. Maybe Bob was an administrator who was forcing inclusion down people's throats. Yeah, I have no idea. But Bob got up there and we went with it. I've had people who have put up words in Spanish. Fine. I can't read them because I don't speak Spanish. Next time if you put them in German, I'm good. But you're still included. You're still part of this, and it's still all together. So the idea behind this, and we're still getting people who are putting them in, which is awesome. The whole idea of this is that we are talking about all kids. And even though I'm a professor of special education, I'm always emphasizing that when I'm talking about inclusive ed, I'm not just talking about special ed. I'm talking about any student who might have felt excluded, which probably is everybody in this room at one point or another, right? We have kids who are excluded because of their socioeconomic status, or they don't feel like they're in the cool kids group, or they're LGBTQIA, or this or that. I remember my senior year of high school, and I'm a military brat, I'm Army. So I traveled a lot. I wasn't that kid who had been there all the time. And I ended up my senior year of high school in Fayetteville, North Carolina. And everybody in my school had been there from, since they were little. So I was just the new kid because I didn't live on base. And I was in honors classes, and I got accepted early admission to the College of William and Mary, where I went many, many years. You can talk about me about that later. But I was really proud of myself, and they announced it over the intercom, and I remember this girl turning around, looking at me, and she goes, "You're smart." I was in her honors class. It was an AP class, whatever it was, but I was, always have been, the bubbly cheerleader type. I'm blonde. I'm a special ed teacher. Yeah, and I used to do pageants. It doesn't get worse. People talk to me slowly. Right? I had to get a PhD just to be like, I process. And I'm still bubbly. Okay, so we all have our reasons for feeling excluded, whatever that may be. This is about figuring out how do we help all kids. So if we'll go on back, Savannah, to the typical slide. So thank you for participating in that activity. Okay, so the philosophy of inclusion is just that all of our students can have their needs met. Now, where we get a little bit shady here is the last part of that, with appropriate adaptations or assistance. We have the philosophy, and I honestly believe we've moved really far. It used to be when I worked with schools, I would feel like I had to cajole them that, hey, all kids deserve the right to the typical education class. I'm like, no, not those kids. Now I don't feel like I'm there anymore. I feel like for the most part, everybody says this is a social justice thing, we're good. We just don't know how. What do we do? How do we make this happen? So we want to move beyond just the philosophy to actually having inclusive practices, and again, that's where we'll bring in your theme. We need to figure out how to implement it, how to innovate it, and how to have impact. So let's talk about personalized learning. Do you just work with one kid? That would be lovely. I think all of us could differentiate the heck out of one kid. But we don't just have one person we're working with. Whether you're working with student teachers, you're working with mentor teachers, you're working with K-12 kids, it really doesn't matter. If I say personalized learning, some people get really nervous. They think it means we're just going to have a whole class of kids just doing their thing, having a good old time. Or they're really worried that means a lot of technology, and they don't know how they're going to work with that. Or it's just a free-for-all. When I'm talking about personalized learning, I think there are specific things we can do that will improve it. And there are a couple things that I want to talk about today. Equity, the use of technology, universal design for learning, and co-teaching. And with those, obviously, we're going to talk about these three big areas. So let's start with the first one, with the implementation. If we embrace equity, okay? We're not talking about everybody doing the same thing. We're talking about equity in a world that keeps wanting equality. We want to have the same exact thing. Just as a quick, and I think most of you have heard this by now, but just to be really clear, equality means we all get the same thing. Equity means that you get what you need. So I want to do a quick, and I don't know who's working lights, if we can have some of the lights up a little bit, if it's possible. So I'm going to come on down here, and let's get these guys, because they look like they don't want me to embarrass them. If you guys would stand up for me. Aren't you guys glad you sat in the back? I thought so. Okay, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You were smiling, but now you have to stand up. 10. All right, I have 10 people. And I just got a box of syringes with insulin in them. There are 10 insulin syringes. What do I do? 10 people, 10 boxes, or 10 insulin syringes. What do I do? Give one to each of them, right? Okay, Dawn's being a little bit, I'm in special education. I would say oppositional defiant. She just said, I don't need it. Excuse me, young lady. Oh, you were being kind. What if I don't need it? That was my frame of reference. I'm used to kids just saying, I don't need it. I'm not used to kindness. What is this? Weird. What if you don't need it? Well, I'm not prepared for that because I have 10 syringes and 10 kids, and I can do the math. So I'm going to give one to each, correct? Again, oppositional defiant, whole room. What am I going to do? Assessment, that takes time. What am I going to do? Ask who? Ask the kids? You guys, I'm the teacher. That's just silly talk, asking kids who needs it. Oh, that's ridiculous. What do you guys think I should do? Ask you? Ask you what? If you need it. Whoa, there's records? There's paperwork? I don't understand, you guys. All right. Clearly, if I'm being equal, every kid gets one. If I'm being equitable, and I find out that Jana is the only one who has diabetes, all 10 syringes can go to her. I'm not, by the way, advocating you just give needles to kids. I want to be clear. This is just an example. But if she's the only one, then she gets them, and you guys get nothing. How do you feel? Not one of them has a problem. In fact, they actually don't want me to shoot them with a needle for no reason. And that's the same thing in education. If they don't need it, we don't give it to them. But we have it available for those kids who need it. And I am just amazed how many teachers will tell me that's not fair. It's not fair that you didn't give that to everybody, or that's not fair that that one student got so much. That one student needed it, and the rest didn't. Give them a round of applause for not taking a needle. Okay, so again, many people have seen this. I love this little slide. And you see, okay, if we're going to be equal, we all have the box. However, if we're going to be equitable, you get what you need. I like this slide much better, right? I love this one. Now let's just take away the wall. Let's take away the barriers. You know what? If I had created the visual myself, I would take more credit, but I just found it on the internet, so. But I did find it. So there's that. Go to Pinterest, you'll find so much. All right. But I love this. I love the idea that the more barriers we can identify, and we're going to talk about universal design for learning and how that will help, but I love that we can be doing this. Now take a look at this. The impact that an educator can make on equity. So on the left side, you've got a homework test packet, no cell phones, Mrs. Green, Mr. Green. On the right side, Miss Smith's homework, the 4 C's, creativity, collaboration, communication, critical thinking, bring your own technology, my video project. So on one side, you've got a teacher who's like, just show me you've got it. Show me you've learned. And I want to embrace the fact that technology is part of our lives, as opposed to you will do it this way because that's all I'm comfortable with. If we continue to do that, I have educators I work with who say, I don't do email. Do you use an abacus? I'm just thinking the whole chisel thing working for you. Like, we do have to move forward a little bit. We have to learn. I've written a lot of books. I have not handwritten one of them. Not one. So we have to be able to move a little bit more with our kids and really recognize that that's a part about being equitable, because not all of our students are going to be able to do the way we used to do it. All right, so now we're going to do another little activity, but this is going to involve many more of you. And again, whoever did the lights, I really appreciate that. If you could put the lights back up again for me. Anybody in the room wearing glasses right now? And don't go putting them to your head real quick. You were wearing glasses, everybody saw it, stand up. And if somebody could hit the lights for me, thank you. Excellent. By the way, those of you who aren't wearing glasses and who are under 40, your time will come. Just saying, we've all been there. Okay, so what I would like you to do, and I know this is gonna be super fun, come forward. Come up to the front of the room. Come up to the front of the room and face everybody else. So come stand up here in a nice row. Stand up here, face your friends. Everybody wearing glasses. There you go. We got to get you guys up and moving. I'm going to scooch past you real quick, right here. Come on up. Come on up. Look at all these wonderful people. Here we go. All right, first of all, give them a round of applause for being willing to come up forward. Now, see, this is where it comes in. Michael told you a little bit about me, so you should be impressed. Are you? I'm freaking impressive, right? Come on. So thank you, I am smart. You got that memo? I was passing it around in a little bulletin board. I'm really smart, good. I'm gonna do a little something, and I'm not even gonna charge the National Professional Development Schools Conference for this, but I'm just gonna do this for you guys because I like you. I am a professor of special education, and I am going to, right now, diagnose all of you. I'm gonna do it. Got it. Every single one of these people up here has a visual disability. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I know. And in special education, this is one of the things that we teach our special education teachers. We don't usually like to give our secrets out, but I'm just going to go ahead and give this to you guys. Don't share it with others, though. What we're going to do to help all of you is we're going to take you into the hall and treat you all the same. Okay? I'm going to give you all a pair of glasses. Same glasses. And you'll be fine, as long as I give you extra time and say small group setting on your IEP. We're good. So will that work for you guys? I'll give you all one of my sets of glasses? No, again, ODD happening here. The oppositional defiant disorder. Why not? I'm hearing words different. You guys think I'm supposed to individualize for you? What am I? Superhero? Optometrist? A real doctor? Okay. You have no idea how many times I hear that, mainly from my son. Mom, you're not a real doctor. Thanks, kid. Okay. So you guys seem to think I'm supposed to do something different for you because it's not going to work if I give you all the same glasses. So let's try something then. I'm going to give you directions, so just like we tell our kids, please don't move till I finish the directions. Okay? Okay. I'm going to ask you to get in one of 3 groups. If I asked you for the rest of today, until the end of the wonderful welcome reception tonight, so 7 p.m., I need you to take off your glasses. If I ask you to do that, mainly because we are making them look bad. We all look so much smarter than they do, and I can tell it's hurting their self-esteem, right? You poor kids. We're smart, you're not. Okay, so if we took our glasses off for the rest of today, where would you be? You're gonna have one of 3 choices. 1, you could handle it. Maybe you'd squint a little bit. Maybe you'd get a little bit of a headache by the end of the day. Okay, you're tired more, but you could handle it. You're gonna end up, don't leave yet, you're gonna end up going down here. If you feel like you take off your glasses and you can see everything far away, absolutely nothing in front of you, or vice versa, you're gonna go in the middle of the room. If you take off your glasses and you're done, okay, you're effectively blind, first of all, keep your glasses on till you get there, but go on over down to here, okay? Those are your 3 choices. You could handle it, you've got one or the other, you're done. Go. First of all, what I want to introduce to everyone today is an inclusive class. What we have standing in front of you is an inclusive class. We have, where are you guys? Which group? Oh, God. The kids who never follow directions. Seriously, there were 3 choices, not 3.5. All right, fine, we'll let you be there. So this group, you all, are my students with mild to moderate disabilities. Mild disabilities, right? You guys could handle it. But if you took them off all day and then I gave you a bunch of homework before you have to come to this conference tomorrow, how many of you are doing your homework? Not too many. A couple of you who are the type A's and you're going to go through it. All right. I know, she's like, I honestly would, because I need an A. How many of you would want to do your homework? Maybe you'd want to, but you couldn't. Why not? Tired. Headache. Right? You guys are the kids who you try, and then maybe you have to go to the nurse a lot, because you're really working hard. You're working harder than everybody else, but you look like us, right? But it just takes a lot more energy, but you're handling it, but it's hard. Now, you guys in the middle, you guys confuse me. I'm the teacher. I give you something to read far away. You do fine. A little bit later, I ask you to read something in front of you, and there's that oppositional thing. You say, I can't do it. No. What are you talking about? I need you to read out loud for everybody. I won't. I can't. I'm sorry. I know you can read. I saw you do it before. Do it now, or you're going to the principal's office. I'm going to the principal's office. So you have moderate disabilities. Sometimes you're strong. Sometimes you're ridiculously weak. And I don't always get you as a teacher because I'm not always understanding the trends, okay? So you're just confusing. You guys, there you are. Is it severe and profound, right? So we have mild disabilities, moderate disabilities, and severe and profound. You guys take off your glasses, you're done, right? I had a gentleman once, I was doing this activity, he took off his glasses and he said, well, right now you're just this big blue blur. Blue blur was okay, big was mean. Okay. So if I asked you to take off your glasses, are you going to participate at all? What would your behaviors be? What? She'd just sit down. Okay, what else? Take a nap. Get emotional. Be disruptive. Leave. Right? And this is what we see. If I'm not accessing the information, why am I here? And I think we do that same thing as adults. If I keep getting asked to a meeting, first of all, meetings. Let's just move on. But if I'm asked to be part of something and then I'm either not accessing the information or I feel superfluous and I feel like this isn't for me, I stop going. Or I'm the one on my phone. Or I'm writing notes. I become a kid. So we have to make sure that we're accessing it for everybody. Okay, now, guys, those of you who, ladies and gentlemen, who are up here at the front of the room, and I really appreciate you coming up here and letting me tell you you have a disability. Now let me tell you, you're not the problem. If you're sitting down and you have contacts in, would you please stand up? Contacts, stand up. Uh-huh. Okay. These people are not the problem. We see their glasses. We know what to do with them. If we have a child in a wheelchair and the child says, I need a little bit of extra time to negotiate the halls, everybody's fine with it. You have a child who is deaf and needs a sign language interpreter, no problem. A child who is blind, you don't have the other kids going, that's not fair, I need Braille. But you guys, you have what we call invisible disabilities. You should probably be up here, but instead you're hiding. And often you're the ones we have the most difficulty with because you still have a need, don't you? Those of you who are standing up, who if your contacts popped out, would be in the severe profound group. Raise your hand. Uh-huh. You see this? Right? Okay, look at how many of them. So you guys have severe needs. They're real needs. They didn't go away. You just have an accommodation, assistive technology that's helping you access. But we don't all know it. So if that contact pops out, you're the first one to come over to the teacher and say, I need a copy of the notes. I need this. I need that. And when everybody else sees it, they go, That's not fair. So we have to remember that we can't always see what's going on. And even when we're working with adults, we don't know what's going on. Do they have a family member who is ill? Do they have a parent who's going into hospice and they're really concerned about them? Are they dealing with a child at home? Like, there's so much stuff going on in our families' lives and our people's lives. We don't know what's invisible. We don't know if it's short term or if it's long term. We have to be aware and be okay with doing different things for different people. We just have to be okay with it. All right, give everybody a round of applause and y'all can head back to your chair. I'm just going to give you a couple little tips for equity in the classroom. If you're implementing equity in the classroom, you might be using native language, sign language, Spanish, German, whatever it is. You might be giving brain breaks because we know that kids can pay attention for about 1 minute per year of age. So we need to give them teacher-initiated brain breaks instead of letting them always have student-initiated brain breaks whenever they want. We need to allow them to have a variety of ways to take notes, not just the one way you like. You might be a huge believer in Cornell notes. That's great, but it may not work for everybody. We need to be sure that we're giving them options for collaborating and working alone, working with a partner, working with a small group. We want to think about cultural diversity and do more than just, hey, it's Black History Month, and so this is the only time we're going to talk about it. By the way, happy Valentine's Day to everybody. And the reason I'm thinking about that is one of the things that we just published, remember I told you that in our center we have these different articles, and for this month, one of our faculty in deaf education wrote an amazing article, again, 1 page, but about how for Black History Month we have a tendency to just think about African Americans, just that. Well, what about African Americans who have disabilities? Right? Why don't we open it up and not just think about one thing, but recognize cultural wealth wherever we can find it? Using a different types of technology, being aware and welcoming to that. Using time in a variety of ways, flexible ways. These are different ways we can be equitable. So moving on, going back to those 21st century goals, remembering that this is what we're trying to do for all students, let's move into innovation. Right? Technology can be overwhelming for us, and there's so many different things. But I want to focus on one that I've been working with recently that just blows my mind and I think is phenomenal. We're using a simulation at our university, and we work with other universities and schools as well, and I just want to show you a little bit about how this can bridge the research to practice gap. And I'm going to have us in just a second go to a YouTube video, but I want you to know that the 2 people that you'll see in the video talking about this are 2 faculty at my university, Sally Spencer and Beth Lasky. Sally Spencer is also the co-author of the book that I'm going to be book signing after this called Collaborate, Communicate, and Differentiate. And Sally was in charge of this simulation and has worked with it for the past few years and is using it in so many different ways, which we'll talk about after you see the video. But I'm also going to let you know that I have just recently taken over the simulator at our university because Sally has leukemia. And this just happened a couple weeks ago. She's one of my very, very best friends. And I told her I was going to tell you about the simulator, and she's not hiding that she has it. But it's one of those things that, again, just lets you know there's so many things that happen in people's lives. So she's dealing with this. She's having to all of a sudden go from a million things she's in charge of, and she's the person to all of that has to step aside, and you have one thing: get better. That's it. And the way that our faculty have stepped up to help her with all of her projects, that shows a collaborative culture. That's the kind of school you want to work in. I'm very proud to work in my College of Education because we're all people who go, you need a little help, we got your back. And that's, if more of our schools were like that, we could do so much more with kids because we'd be modeling what it is we want. So let's go ahead, Savannah, and click over to that YouTube video. It's a minute and a half. Okay. So what we've got going on, she'll flip back to our PowerPoint. What we've got going on at our university is not just for teachers. That's what it kind of started with. It actually started at Central Florida. So if anybody knows it as Teach Live, One of my very best friends, Dr. Lisa Deeker, started that there, and then it's kind of grown and being used for a lot of things. What we're using at our university is not just for teachers, and we have a lot of different simulations and different scenarios that teachers practice, but Sally just got a big grant, the Keck grant, to work with it on mental health. So now consider, I'm not sure, yeah, there we go. There you go. So think about how now we have social workers and marriage family therapists, et cetera, working with, we have avatars of just one person. So can you imagine practicing what you have learned about how to do child abuse reporting or how to talk to somebody who has PTSD or something like that and doing it with a practice? And it's all the literature, all the research on this shows that it's far more successful and impactful and efficient than doing it through role plays. Because role plays, you know that person's just pretending. This, you've got somebody who's really going to respond to you in a particular way. And with the kids, you can kind of up their behaviors or down their behaviors. If you just want to work on how do you just do working about, like teaching them fluency if you want. There's elementary kids, secondary kids, there's individuals. In co-teaching, you can have somebody who is a resistant co-teacher and how you work out things with problem solving. So it's been pretty amazing. We're also working with the nursing group. We've been talking about having this out for police, maybe having them understand how to work with individuals with disabilities, how to communicate. So there's so many different possibilities. Doing a parent-teacher conference. So we're really excited. That's just an example of innovation and how you can use innovation in your schools to bridge that research to practice gap. Another thing that I thought we should talk about, because I'm passionate about this and do a lot of my presentations on universal design for learning. The more we're able to universally design our instruction at the university, in the classes, right, the more all of our kids have access, because that's what UDL is about. For those of you who really have never heard about universal design for learning, and this is just a small little snippet, but it's about universal access. So it started from architecture. And if you think about building buildings, we used to build a building and then have to retrofit it with things like ramps and elevators and other signals and things like that. Now, every time we build something, we think about, oh, who might need to access this? So if you think about Target, makes me feel more upscale. There's all of these doors, and they're automatic doors. Right? So if you have a lot of bags or you're doing a shopping cart, you can walk through it. I find myself walking past like 3 regular doors just to walk through the automatic doors. And I'm not even holding anything. I just love the automatic doors. Right? You'll use the bigger bathrooms because there's more space. We love the automatic water. All of these things are because some people need them, but everybody can use them. I love this Michael Giangreco cartoon. It's just one of my favorites. So you see the little boy in the wheelchair on the left-hand side, and he says, "Could you please shovel the ramp?" And the custodian replies, "All of these other kids are waiting to use the stairs. When I get through shoveling them off, then I will clear the ramp for you." To which he responds, "But if you shovel the ramp, we can all get in." And that's what UDL is about. It's about saying, let me just give options. How many times have you heard somebody a teacher come up with what we'll call an accommodation, and then the other educators are like, "Oh, I like that. Can we use that for everybody?" And most of the time you can. As long as you're not changing the standards, why not? Why not have these options? And that's what we're trying to do with Universal Design for Learning. Many of you have probably already seen this cartoon as well. Love this. So the evaluator says, for a fair selection, everybody has to take the same exam. Please climb that tree. Is that going to work out? Who's going to struggle? Yes, to all of you who yelled out different things. Who's going to do well? The monkey. How could we make this more universally designed? What are the things we need to do? What can we do to make this better? Design a different test. What else? Say it one more time. Okay, so maybe add some different things to the tree, like a ladder, right? Which will help some. I'm still thinking the fish is going to struggle. I mean, you may have a ladder climbing fish. I'm not saying you don't. What else? A water slide, okay? Virtual? Have a virtual climbing of the tree. How about if we change the objective? What's the goal? Is the goal climbing? If there is a standard on climbing, okay, why? Is the standard get to the top of the tree? If it's get to the top of the tree, I think we all have some more options. And now, can we collaborate? Right? We also need to talk about that. Albert Einstein has a fantastic, because we're buddies, and I just quoted him from the other day. He has a fantastic quote that goes so well with that picture. Everybody is a genius. But if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing it's stupid. How many times do you go to a dinner party or go to some other social event that's not just educators and have other people tell you, I sucked at school, and now I'm very successful in owning my own business? Or teachers hated me, but now I'm doing this and I'm very successful. I use myself as an example. I'm good at school. Reading and writing are my thing, and I am the teacher-pleasing behavior kind of kid. In fact, I'm the kid who you're like, anybody but Wendy, please. Somebody else raise your hand. But I can't fix my car. I would have zero idea what to do with that, right? There's so many things I'm not good at. And I'll let people know that because I'm okay with saying I am a genius at this. And there's a whole lot of things I'm really stupid at, but that's okay. We need everybody to be able to embrace that. To say there are some things I'm not good at school, but I'm super good at this. And unfortunately, I don't think right now our schools do embrace that idea. We need to do a better job with that. So UDL, the whole idea of UDL is being proactive. Instead of after the fact retrofitting our lessons, creating a lesson saying this is a really good 4th grade lesson. This is a really good university lesson. Oh, I've got a kid with a learning disability. I'm going to have to change it for him. Oh, I've got a kid who's gifted. I'm going to have to change it for this person. Oh, I have a kid. We don't do that. We create a lesson proactively and say, what if? What if somebody struggles with time? What if somebody struggles with reading? What if somebody struggles physically? And if we proactively design it where everybody can access it, we're golden. The more we can have choice and voice, the more we can ask the kids, does this work for you? If it doesn't, can you give me some more ideas? I know you want to use technology, but honestly, I don't know the apps that are out there, and I need some time to learn what works and what doesn't, and what I should stay away from and what I can embrace. I need you as kids, as adults, to tell me what works and help me learn and help me grow. That's my professional development. Okay, so that's a little bit of UDL. Again, this is something I can't give credit to. I want to give somebody credit on the internet. But I love this way of separating UDL versus differentiation. Because I have a lot of people who use the word differentiation and think that's what we're doing, and it's not. UDL is proactive. That doesn't mean we still don't have to differentiate, but we're going to have to do a lot less of it. So what we'll do is we'll design this awesome lesson. We hope it's accessible to everybody. But if we do have a student who needs Braille, we're not going to necessarily give that to everybody. That one child will get that. We have one kid who perseverates on turtles. Doesn't mean everybody has to learn about turtles, but maybe for that student, we're going to make sure something turtle-related is going to engage them. Okay, so again, great way of looking at this as a little bit different, still important. We still need both. So our UDL is, there's a lot of research on it. There's a lot of considering the different neural pathways and how we're going to engage, how we're going to represent information to them, how we're going to have them give information back to us. Again, the more choice, the more voice, the better all students will be engaged. We're still not forgetting the differentiation and that we need to make sure that everybody is getting what they need. Now, as another shameless plug, if you would really like to come to Los Angeles, where it's warm, almost always, although we have had rain the last couple days, which is fun because we never see that. In April, my university is hosting the What Really Works with Universal Design for Learning conference. Katie Novak, who is amazing, is one of our keynote speakers. Rebecca Milwaukee, who's the National Teacher of the Year in 2012, and one of my very best friends and an amazing speaker, is also one of the keynotes. And then Brad Upshaw, who is a Los Angeles Unified School teacher, who just got inducted into the Teachers Hall of Fame, is going to be a keynote speaker. So we're really excited about it. Hope you can come, and shameless plug, you will get a free copy of What Really Works with Universal Design for Learning. So hope you're there. So let's get some UDL in the classroom. What does it look like? It looks like maybe flipping the classroom. Instead of doing all of our instruction and then not having time to implement, do some videos. Let kids have access to the content that way, and then really engage them in the class. Again, technology is going to be a big thing. We can't be afraid of it. Student voice, I've already mentioned. Flexible grouping. Some kids hate working in groups. Raise your hand if you're one of those people. You exist. You hate working in groups. We need to give you an option to work alone. And how many of you prefer to work with others? Raise your hand. And some of you are like, it depends on the person. Yeah, if I have to do all the work because they're slacking, no thanks. All right, so that's okay. And it could be based off the tasks. Some tasks you want a partner, and some tasks you want to work alone. We need to be embracing that at all levels of education. Giving more choice. Choice is a big part, and this is all about being innovative. That's what we need to be doing in schools. Universities need to learn what's happening in the schools. Schools need to learn what's happening at the universities. And we need to be talking with one another about how can we be innovative in what we're doing. Again, that differentiation, special education teachers, ELL coaches, etc. There's still a need for us as specialists because kids need specially designed instruction. So our job's not going away. We need to figure out how to do it. But there's an umbrella of adaptations that many kids can access. And accommodations might be available to everybody. Fewer of them will be needed if we're universally designing it. But we're still going to have sometimes when we modify. It's still going to happen. We have a wide range of needs, and we need to respect that as well. All right. Finally, last one. We're going into our goals. Again, we got our 21st century skills. Let's look for impact. And how are we going to impact? Well, even amazing educators, even superheroes need a little help sometimes. So I think we need to collaborate. We need to work with one another. And I know you guys love collaboration, right? This is how sometimes when I work with schools, this is how I can tell they feel. I know I'm supposed to like it, but I'd rather be in my silo and shut the door. I'm going to focus just on one area of collaboration, that is co-teaching, because I absolutely adore co-teaching. Really quickly, co-teaching is like a marriage, because if you think about it, it's two people raising kids together, right? And the kids are absolutely going to play mom against dad. We know that. We know that you're never supposed to criticize your spouse in front of the children. And we know that the most important thing of any good marriage is, oh, you know you're thinking sex. Communication, go with the literature. We're all adults, right? Did anybody bring their kids? Okay, all right. So what we need in co-teaching is we need to make sure, we need to embrace it. Look at this. Aww. Okay, raise your hand if your collaborations ever look like that. I know. So we start off strong, and then there's always going to be the bumpy road. I just want to know what bride actually thought, this is going to be a good idea. Oh. All right, we need to make sure that our teachers, our educators, our professors are co-planning, co-instructing, and co-assessing. And this is done at all levels. This is so perfect for the professional development school arrangement because we have co-teaching in K-12, where the kids are pre-K-12. The teachers are teaching with one another. We have co-teaching between universities and schools where we have master teachers, mentor teachers, and apprentice teachers or student teachers who are co-teaching with one another. And the St. Cloud research is really showing us that that is hugely beneficial to all kids as well as to the educators. And then at the university, we have faculty who are co-teaching with one another. So there's all kinds of implementation in co-teaching. And come see me later if you want some in-depth conversation about that. So if you want resources on this, take out your phone, as we're wrapping this up, and use the camera function, and you can go straight to that Padlet. So the QR code, again, there might be one person at each table, I hope, who knows about QR codes. The QR code will jump you right to the Padlet with a ton of resources on co-teaching. If it's not working for you because you have an older camera, you can't get close, whatever, take a picture of this slide, and later they're doing a recording. We can make sure this is up there for you. But that URL at the very top, padlet.com/Wendy_Morosky/2teach_LLC, if you write that in later when you have your computer, you will also have access to articles on co-teaching, the co-teaching competencies, the whole framework of that, other kinds of resources, worksheets, et cetera, that can help you out with that. If you don't have a chance to access it right now and nobody around you is getting it, come see me later or email me and I'll give you access to this. So how can we develop these 21st century skills? Well, we can help the one kid, or we can take baby steps. And ultimately, that's what we need to do. We need to make sure that we're taking our baby steps, but that we're committing to doing something different, trying to do something new, maybe with a partner. Sometimes you just got to keep trying, though. Keep trying. But kudos to them for continuing to try. So what's our goal? Our goal is to embrace inclusive education. We want to include all learners. We want to have those 21st century skills, but we want to better our shared society. And how are we going to do it? We're going to do it through you. Thank you very much.